So what I was thinking is, what will I speak for the next 1.5 hours? Originally, what Professor N.G. told me was that this will be a Laghu Udyog Bharat, means MSMEs, Laghu Udyog Bharat session, and there will be some working people also. So I thought some 40-45 people will be there, and 20 will be working, and 25 will be non-working to the industry and this. But now that all minus 1 is working, I will then change my script accordingly and then make it more connected and of course connect the industry. Okay, so what I thought is my original plan was what to speak about is the industry that work is. I had a lot of people here are, and it is one of the fastest growing industries in the market. And which is the industry? The data center. It is the fastest growing industry. If you see the top guys in the US market in terms of market cap, it is Nvidia, it is AWS, it is Meta, it is Microsoft, and a significant portion of the revenue comes from the data centers. Significant portion. For example, for Nvidia and all that, they sell to GPUs, and the GPUs then go to data centers. So it's a very positive virtuous cycle. And the industry was anyway growing, but it is now growing in exponential rates. It is growing at exponential rates because of all the large language models and the AI thing that's happening around us, which is giving us the extra alpha in terms of growth rates. So the whole purpose of this discussion was to, I thought that a lot of the MSME suppliers, people who come here, would be MSME suppliers who can supply not only to work the entire industry itself, because we buy everything from steel to components, to wire harness, to compressors, to evaporators, and everything. So I thought that they would be from that industry, and then they can also, if they're already doing business, great. At least they will know what is the next thing in this business. And if they're not doing business, they can enter into a new area and go where the investor goes, right? Whether in life also, in stock picking and all that, go where the investor goes. So right now, the biggest investment is happening in this industry right now. And you would have seen a lot of announcements in newspapers, government talking about 10,000 crores investment for AI and all that. So there's a lot of focus on this, and then there was AI summit. So I will talk a little bit about all of that. Try to connect working people and not make you bored for the next 1 hour 30 minutes with some additional information that probably you would not be doing. And it's not a monologue, I want to make it interactive, so if people want to add upon what I say, please add on to that. And for you, you will get connected. Just I will consider you different. But the same industry will move on. Okay. So this is what I originally thought. The world depends on data, we power and cool, and all of that is applicable to you. You don't power, but you cool, right? So what exactly do you do in this vehicle? Engineering side, marketing, sales, product. What do you do?
It's for new product.
New product. Okay, so this is what I said as the initial start, what I will do. Why is there so much of talk on data centers? You take the newspaper. How many of you, every day, read the newspaper here, the physical newspaper? All over the time. आरती को मैंने 10 साल पहले बोला था चालू करो, हमने नहीं किया. Okay, so every day you see the, I'm sure the new generation is all the feeds and all that at 1 minute in the text. That's okay. Keep in touch with the news regardless of the medium or the mode in which you want to be. But I read newspaper daily, and if you just open the newspaper, it's all about data centers. Everywhere you read something, Sam Altman saying something, some deep sea coming in and trying to disrupt. Microsoft investment in Hyderabad, Bangalore. India is a big investment location for data centers. So this is again a little. What does this chart show? This chart shows that India's capacity count disappears. That is another function. That you will see it here. So now you have to assume that I'm pointing. So it's but I don't know why. Every time I get this, I see that it shows outside circumference, but when you come inside, it is empty. It's okay. Maybe the color is a problem. I think green might work. So data center capacity in India has nearly increased 13x in 10 years. Okay, 13x in 10 years, growing from roughly 450 megawatts. So that's the way the size of the data center is kind of announced. I don't need to explain that to anybody here. Everybody understands what is IT load and all that. Who doesn't understand? Raise your hands. I'll give you a promotion. So 450 megawatt data center capacity. In 2021, to projected 6 gigawatt by the end of 31. This is again, it is as I speak, it is changed. Just last week I met with the top person in NTT. Okay, NTT was originally called, I think it was called NetMagic or NetMagic. NetMagic then got taken over. There's a lot of taking over and buying over happening by a Japanese investment company called NTT, who's into data center business. And so their solution architect, Bimal is the name of the gentleman. He said 9 gigawatt is the expected capacity in India by 2032. Okay, so that's what I take as normally NTT, they are in the business of selling cloud and colo and all that. So 9 gigawatt by 2030. And what is the current installed capacity in Bharat? Total? In hyperscalers, colo, cloud and all that into the area? 9 by 2030. Abhi kitna hoga? Sharma ne kaha kuch bhi bolo. 9 se zyada bolo. 60. 9 होने वाला है 2022 तक. 60 कैसा होगा? मेगावाट में बोल रहे हैं क्या? मेगावाट 60 बोला, ठीक है. Very good. About 3 gigawatt. Roughly. Look, these numbers are all, even I am copying from somewhere telling all these, even numbers change in different. But from whatever I have read, the total global data center capacity in 2024-25 was around 122 gigawatts. Okay? Out of which the total capacity in India was 3.4 or 3.6 gigawatts. Okay? And America alone was around 56 gigawatts. What is the population of America and what is the population of Bharat? Huh? 34-35 चलता है, जितना मतलब मेक्सिको से 1 करोड़ आ जाएगा. 34-35. भारत का कितना है? 140. So how many times America bigger than, in terms of population, how many times Bharat bigger than America? Land area of America and land area of India. What is that ratio? Correct. US is 3 times population. 3 times power. So you can imagine such a resource-based, lesser population. No wonder the country is doing extremely well in terms of GDP. But 3.6 gigawatt in India is what I read. Out of which, what I also read is 1.5 gigawatt is by these main 4 or 5 players. Who are these main 4 or 5 players investing in the data center industry? Adani, Reliance, Tata वगैरह भी आया. Hyperscalers की नाम है AWS, Meta, Google, Microsoft. Okay? Apple नहीं है. Apple एक data center बनाने वाला धंधा है. वो फोन बना के खुश है. पर ये धंधे में आए. Okay? So बाकी 4 लोग plus all these fellows जो अपना Reliance है, Adani है, Tata है, सब किसके लिए बना रहे हैं? उन्हीं के लिए तो बना है. They are making for them. So eventually these are the 4 big players that are. So everybody is making for them. So they will come and post it with them. So I read 1.5 gigawatt is the capacity in Bharat in 2025 installed abhi tak. 3.6 is the sum total of all of that, which means you can have a data center on-prem. On-prem means within your premises itself, or on the cloud, or in the hyperscalers, colo and cloud and all. So 3.6 gigawatt total hai. उस 3.6 gigawatt में 1.5, 1.6 is installed by these 4 fellows, 4 players. And this 1 or 1.5 will become 9 gigawatt by 2030. Okay? So exercise again. 1.5 gigawatt in 2025, 9 gigawatt in 2032. What is the KHF? Calculate करके बताओ मुझे. जरा आए तो कुछ काम भी देना पड़ेगा आप लोगों का ना. तो मेरा how do you calculate the KHF? 2025 में 1.5 gigawatt. 2032 में 9 gigawatt. What is the KHF? कुछ करना पड़ेगा बरादी. हाँ. तो सर will not give you the answer. You will find it out. How do you calculate cager? कैलकुलेट करना बड़ा कठिन है, बट आजकल तो सब इंटरनेट में मिल जाता है. फर्स्ट ईयर, फिफ्थ ईयर डाल दो, सेवंथ ईयर डाल दो, मिल जाएगा.
43%.
29.07. 7 years. 1.5 to 9.
So he tells me I think this is correct. I will check it.
43.1.
No?
43.1.
Salary years.
How much is the number? I think 30% is some kind of right. 7 years में 1.5. अरे अपना खुद का पैसा डाल दो कोई स्टॉक में, इतना तो पता होना चाहिए ना. 5 साल के बाद वो डबल हो गया तो what is the CAGR you tell me?
12%.
Huh?
12%. Annum per annum.
How did you get 12% per annum? Very nice. Where is wrong? 15 is nice. Okay, so the simple formula of CAGR is if you have, there's a rule of 75. Okay, so 75 divided by 5 years में double हो गया. So 75 divided by number of years it takes to double. So 5 year हो गया. 75 by 5 कितना है? 15%. 10 years में double हो गया तो what is the CAGR? 75 by 10, 7. That is called the rule of 75. There is also a rule of 100 and something also. If you want to triple your money. So I think what is that number? What is that rule? You can figure it out. The rule of 75 and the rule of 110 I think. So 110 divided by the number which it takes to double. वो करो आपको CAGR मिल जाएगा. Here you can't use that rule because it's not doubling, right? Looking from 1.5 to 9, but approximately 30% growth.
30%.
30% growth rate industry for the next 7 years. Is it a good growth rate or not? What is India's GDP growing at? 6 or 7. So the industry is growing at 4.5 to 5% of the CAGR of the country's national, and India is one of the high growth economies. Large country, large economic size of $4 billion, plus it's growing at 6 to 7% per annum. You can imagine the annual GDP tax itself. So this is supposed to be what I call as the Maha Kumbh Mela of industry business. So we are in that industry, whether it is vegan or vegetarian. So we are in that industry which is growing at 30%. And all this happened in the last 2 years. Moment Bharati left, birth will cover. So sometimes you feel like that, or somebody is selling a stock, you should buy that stock. You will lose, but you will make money. So Bharati left, birth will cover. Not birth will cover overall. Industry changed. Whole thing changed. Nothing to do with Bharati, but Bharati is just a nimitta matra meva. So this is what is happening. Number of data centers in the country. Okay, so I think भारत में कितना data center दिख रहा है? Oh, India. India 270. अमेरिका में कितना है? 390. वो छोड़ दो, ब्राजील में कितना है? 190. और ऑस्ट्रेलिया में देख रहे हैं, ऑस्ट्रेलिया का है 250. तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया से भी थोड़ा बड़ा दिखेगा, बट उधर तो 80% of the land is uninhabited. So 260. So a country of 1.5 billion people with an economy size which is kind of 4th largest economy in the world. Do you think this number is justified? And data usage is increasing every day, right? You want your streaming to happen faster and all. So data usage is becoming faster. There is more data being consumed. Definitely, there is absolutely big scope for growth. और आज जो वेस्ट एशिया वगैरह में जो हो रहे हैं, इराक में हो रहे हैं, इसराइल में हो रहे हैं, दुबई मिडिल ईस्ट तो पूरा मेरे को लगता भी नहीं नेक्स्ट टाइम जाएगा तो अपना क्या बुर्ज खलीफा रहेगा कि नहीं, ऐसा हाथी सिचुएशन. बट इधर थोड़ा इशू मोर इन पीसफुल वर्ल्ड, ईस्ट एंड द वेस्ट both are located in India and Nairobi. So best for investors. There is stable government here for the last 10, whatever number of 20 years and all that. So this seems to be the right place for investors to invest. Number one, there is safety in this country, and this is not like you go to some other countries and all that. There is issue of piracy, data trafficking, this, that, and all that. Yes, India में इतना नहीं है. So this is a very safe investment hub, and I'm sure this is going to additionally fuel the growth in this market. There is absolutely no doubt, especially after this West Asia crisis. And incidentally, 3-4 मिसाइल तो कहाँ फूका है जाके डेटा सेंटर में एक बहरीन में, एक सऊदी में, एक दुबई में, सब जगह डेटा सेंटर खुलता है. सो इट इज बिगर अपॉर्चुनिटी नाउ. ये सब डेटा सेंटर दोबारा बनना पड़ेगा. उसके लिए कूलिंग चाहिए, स्वेगिंग चाहिए, वर्टिव चाहिए, सब लोग दोबारा. एंड आफ्टर वॉर द प्राइसेस विल नॉट बी नॉर्मल. तो $100 में बेचने 500, 600, $1,000 में वही चीज बेचेगा. So there will be demand and pent up and all. So are we in the right industry or not? Yes. So this is actually for MSMEs के लिए समझाने का था, but I thought I should create that kind of a feeling in our people in Bertie also that this is the right industry to be. This is the best industry to be. For the next 5 to 7 years, I see growth happen. Some new things may happen. Some large language model will come, इतना computing required नहीं वगैरह वगैरह आएगा ही आएगा. But that's in everything, right? Nothing goes in linear fashion upwards, right? There will be ups and downs and all that. But overall trend देखेगा तो definitely the range of 25 to 30% तो होने वाला है. So USA, if you see, is 3,960 data centers. So a country with 1/4 of population and 3 times the area, which means they have something like 12 times advantage over us. Just multiply population ratio by the land ratio, they are at 12 times advantage, 12 to 15 times advantage. 12 to 15 times advantage. If they have 3,960 and every investor wants to come here, what will happen now? Because no growth होने वाला है. Okay? So India is no longer just a consumer of global data, it is becoming a primary host, blah blah blah. मेरे कई जो उधर लिखा है ये देखिए आपने पढ़ा है. Potentially overtake all these other fellows. So does anybody have a doubt that you are in a wrong industry? No. Can't say this. Monday in a wrong. Okay, so the generational shift or what is happening. So what is shown on the chart? Can somebody explain this to get this chart and then what's shown on this chart? अब बताओ उसने क्या दिखाया है? It's about chart reading training दे रहा हूँ. Quickly, 2 minutes में इस chart में क्या दिखाया है?
So record page we are in the data center requirements are increasing, like from 25 to 30, and then again there are big players like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Meta, how they are contributing to this space.
Perfect. So what it is showing is 2 things. It's showing that in 2025 the total gigawatt size in data centers was 82 gigawatts. Global chart. Okay, this chart for India was 1.5. Okay, 82 gigawatt. That 82 gigawatt by 2030 is going to become 290 gigawatt. Okay, what is the table here? So it is going to be 3.5x. Okay, 3.5x is 6 gigawatt. And on the other side, these 4 fellows, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, इन्वेस्टमेंट करने वाला है 28 में किया कर चुका है $67 billion. $1 billion, how many crores? 9,200. हाँ सिर्फ पेपर पढ़ गया है. 9,240 whatever. It's gone beyond 9,240. So 65 times 9,000 crores approximately. 2018 investment. 2025 में प्रोजेक्टेड लिखा है हो गया. 2025 में approximately $385 billion. बिलियन की बात करते हैं 1-2 बिलियन इधर चल जाएगा. फर्स्ट कैन सिल्वर जैसा है. $385 billion इन्वेस्टमेंट हो गई. Now 2026 committed investment by all these players put together. कितना बताओ मुझे? कितना हो सकते हैं? Who were all there at the sales conference in Sri Lanka 2 days ago? हाँ थोड़ा ऊपर चलो देखा जाए 1, 2, 3 ऊपर करो 4, 5, 6, 7. I gave the answer there actually. उधर मैंने पूछा था. हाँ? श्रावण सो रहा हूँ अभी सुनो. $650 billion is committed in 2026 by just these 4 fellows.
For India?
Global. This is a global. Okay. You can imagine, right? $650 billion investment in 2026. What is approximately world GDP? Global GDP कितना है? Total sum of all countries कितना है? 60. हाँ, कोई बात नहीं. Good guess, but it is double of that. Double of that. Global GDP कोई Google बताओ मुझे. It should be around 110, 120 billion dollars.
5 plus 25
But it is much more than 100 plus. Global GDP, huh? Exceeded 116 billion. इसमें मेरे ऊपर बंद है. देखो हम व्हाट्सएप करेंगे. आप लोग गूगल करेंगे बता रहे हैं. Next time I'll go and tell somewhere else. 116. I know it's around 100 plus. 116 trillion dollars. Okay. So $116 trillion means just $685 billion just in data center. Okay? The effect of $685 billion in investment is much more. What is GDP by the way? What is GDP? GDP का full form बताओ कोई किसी? हाँ, वो कौन बताया? उनको एक गिलास पानी दे दो अभी, ठीक है? Correct है. Gross domestic product. But what is gross domestic product? खूब बोलने वाले को 5 स्टार देते हैं. पानी. What is sum of
total products made in the country.
or
services.
excellent. Or क्या है? How many of you have done an MBA? और एकदम ऊपर करो. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. ये सब तो आपको सीखा होगा ना? सीखा ना? What is GDP? GDP is the sum of
Total spending, investments by business.
क्या बोल रहे? आंसर पता नहीं है तो कॉम्प्लीट करो क्वेश्चन को. क्या बोल रहे? कुछ बोल रहे हैं? बताओ क्या बोला?
All the products and services in one area and geographical area.
Sum of all products, services, government investment, C plus P plus I plus
Export minus.
export minus C plus P plus I plus E minus I. That's the formula. ठीक है? इनको भी बोलना चाहिए. Should know this. MBA पढ़ने के बाद मलयालम BA जैसा साइड में नहीं रखने का. समझिए ना, मराठी BA जैसा मास्टर ऑफ बिजनेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. But you are not done it also to learn. There's nothing great in MBA में जाके ये सब सीखने का है. You cannot read the newspaper. C plus I plus P plus C plus I plus G plus E minus. Basically, spending on products, services, government का spending in that country plus export minus import. The net of that sum total is G. So, अगर मैं 10 रुपया का सामान इनको मैंने भेजा है और $100 का सामान भेजा है, it will have a trickling effect on the GDP. It is not contributing just $100 alone. $100 suppose is a very just example. He's a normal farmer. $100 को दे दिया. $100 से नीचे ₹5,000 दे दिए. क्या करेगा ₹5,000 लेके? क्या करेगा farmer? What do you do with ₹1,000? फर्टिलाइजर लेगा, सीड लेगा, एक हेयर कटिंग करेगा, अच्छा सा करेगा नहीं करेगा, सेविंग करेगा, ठीक है ना? पत्नी को दे देगा तो ₹500, बच्चे को पॉकेट मनी दे देगा ₹200, एक रिकरिंग ऑफिस महिला विकास पत्र को कैसे पत्र लिया होगा पोस्ट ऑफिस से, उनको भी ₹500 दिया होगा, ये सब करेगा ना. सो जस्ट इमेजिन दैट इज ऑल ट्रांजैक्शंस. ओके, सो महिला विकास पत्र जो एग्जांपल बता रहा हूं, पोस्ट मंडेरी विल कम टू पे ₹500 पोस्ट ऑफिस में डालेगा, उसको उसमें कमीशन मिलेगा ₹500 में, उसको लेटर 15 कमीशन मिलेगा, वो ₹15 वो क्या करेगी? शी विल गो एंड बाय समथिंग. So all that you can imagine. So when I give ₹5,000 to this gentleman and I give ₹5,000 to Nita Ambani, उदाहरण के बता रहा हूँ, क्या करेगा ₹5,000 से नीता अंबानी? टिप देगी. उनको तो पता भी नहीं है अपने पास. She might keep it somewhere and forget it also. So it will not come into the economy. टिप देगी तो अच्छा है, नहीं देगा उनको पता ही नहीं. ₹5,000 की एक्चुअल देना है, चलो वो पिला उड़ा कर दिया, भूल गया. But will he forget it like that? So that is what this Jan Dhan Yojana वगैरह जो मोदी सरकार कर रहा है. Okay, forget Modi Sarkar. The Sarkar, what are they doing? They are giving money to the last mile of the whole chain. When you give 5,000 rupees to a farmer or a 5,000 rupees to a street side vendor, who whatever their paddhatis are, we get a separate first lady here. Yeah, but also we got this actually I came to it. But I thought that he said both the but I did something in life also. So 5,000 rupees is the last mile person. A street vendor selling who takes let us say he takes you know how the street fellows work, vegetable बेचने वाला वो सुबह जाके किसी से लोन लेता है. कितना लोन लेता है? 1,000 रुपए. हाँ, 1,000 रुपए लेता है सुबह. शाम को कितना देता है उसको? 10%. हाँ, उसी दिन का 10%. You can see the interest rate that these guys are working. 3,500% interest rate में दिया है ना. 100 रुपया शाम को 1,000 रुपया सुबह जाके ले लेगा, किसी सेठ से जाके लेगा, सब्जी वगैरह खरीदने का मार्केट में जाके, शाम को सब्जी करके प्रॉफिट बना दिया, उस पे जाके 1,100 he or she goes and gives to the state. What does the interest rate per day? 10%. Annualized 3,650. It's more than that. Catered vehicles much more. So you can imagine the number of transactions. That is what is called as this Mudra scheme. How many of you heard about Mudra scheme? What is the full form of Mudra scheme? Nobody knows.
There is scheme for the street vendors. You can take 10,000
Perfect.
subsidies.
Excellent. Street vendor can go without any collateral, can go and take 10,000 rupees from the government. Okay? He or she can invest in the business. Vada pav ho sakta hai, vada bana raha hoga, idli bana raha hoga, street vendor hoga, and they have a certain payment, and government gives it much lesser interest rates. Lesser interest rate मतलब normal interest rate, home loan का current interest rate कितना है? हाँ, 7.5. आप तो अभी ये में take रहे हो 7.5 8% पकड़ो depending upon. इन लोगों को 18% interest rate में भी दे देगा तो is it good or bad? Otherwise, what interest rate were they taking? 10% per day. 10% per day का interest rate में खेल रहा है. Now they are getting 18% per annum or 20% per annum. Is it good or bad for them? What will that money? Where will that money go? Market. Danda. Okay. So, potato or whatever. So, मुद्रा का full form क्या है? Micro Unit Development and Refinancing. Micro Unit Development and Refinancing. This is one of the most successful programs of the current government. Most successful. Give money to people who need it. There was a lot of discussion whether ऐसा scheme करने का कि नहीं करने का. Without any collateral, how can you give loan? ये भी तो बात है. Street vendor भाग जाएगा तो. But there was a study done by this government. Professor Ranjini was sitting here, who left right now. She was all part of the study. She's a professor of finance and strategy. So they have all tried to figure out whether there is systemic risk in giving 10,000 rupees to a street vendor. How many of you think here there is a systemic risk giving to a street vendor just having an Aadhaar card, PAN card and address proof? उसको 10,000 रुपए देगा तो how many of you think he will repay the loan on time here? दंगा करके honestly वापस.
That's the word.
जब मैं हाथ उठाना बोलेगा तो ना ऐसा उठाने की तरफ दिखना चाहिए. ऐसा निकलेगा पता नहीं चलता. Others think it's a big risk giving them. Who all think there's a risk giving them? जो पेमेंट वापस आएगा नहीं, क्या रिस्क बताओ मुझे?
Not all, but some may not.
Some. That is there in any business, right?
Yes.
That is there in any business. But will the percentage of people who repay be more or non-repayment be more? Why do you think they will repay more? Why do you think they will repay?
They want to
Yes. Once you have a good credit record, you will get more loan from the government. अभी 10,000 दे देगा, बाद में 25,000 देगा, 50,000, 1 lakh दे देगा. Okay, this every day. These are all now online, right? आपका credit record, transactions, everything is online. Government can any point of time do a web check and then figure out. ये बंदे को पैसे दे सकते हैं। कंट्री में पैसा लेके भागने वाला कौन है? हाँ, अनिल अंबानी, मोदी जी, मोदी और कौन है? विजय माल्या, इनका नेबर था बैंगलोर। ये सब लोग पैसा नहीं भागेगा, छोटा मोटा अमाउंट नहीं है, 7,000 crores, 10,000 crores. But you give money to street vendor, you give money to your own people nearby, they have that social respect.
Yes.
They will not run away. That is Indianness actually. But you give $10,000 to a fellow in America, 99% will bug them. They don't care about all this. Whereas in our country, it is not like that. It's a totally different business model itself. So, who was our RBI governor when 2014 में जब Prime Minister Modi आएगा? Who was our RBI governor at that time? How many of you heard the name Raghuram Rajan? सब सुना है। ठीक। ये रघुराम राजन कहाँ से पढ़ाई किया? हार्वर्ड कैसे बोल? हार्वर्ड जैसा ही इंस्टीट्यूट है। नहीं, he went to Booth School of Business. MIT slow है क्या? I think it's Booth. But that doesn't matter. He actually studied IIT Delhi and IIM Ahmedabad, and then later on became the governor. He's a very super sharp fellow, super sharp person. But he did not get along with the government. He could not get along with the prime minister and this one, so they did not extend his tenure. ऐसा नहीं कि उसको भगा दिया, कुछ नहीं हुआ. उनका टर्म था, वो टर्म एक्सटेंड नहीं किया. But opposition made big hue and cry. तो एक्सटेंड नहीं किया, best economist in the world and all that. उसके बाद साधारण economist इधर आया था. Who was the next governor after him? उर्जित पटेल. उसके बाद हुआ, अभी कौन है? शक्तिकांत दास. So, and they're all normal Indian people. India में, because to run this country, you need Indian people. You can't go to America, Harvard and Stanford and all that to study. You study there, so it goes like a पढ़ाई कर. That's fine. But you need to have Indian people. The first prime minister in this country who has born after independence and has become prime minister in the country is कौन हो सकते हैं? हाँ, नरेंद्र मोदी है। ठीक है, तो you take अखिल बिहारी वाजपेयी और ये गुजराल, चंद्रशेखर और इंदिरा गांधी, राजीव गांधी, उसका पहले का गांधी, समझ गया ना? ये सब जो लोग हैं, नरसिम्हा राव जी including, whom I have great respect for, but they were all pre-independent born. So they have been born at a time when the country was under captivity of the Westerners. So that will definitely have a psych on all of us. Being born in free India, the first prime minister is Narendra Modi. So definitely, the likes politics BJP है वो सब छोड़ दो. But the person comes with a certain Indian mindset, which is applicable for Indian opposition leaders also. I'm not saying only prime minister has that. Everybody else also. So इन्होंने ये जो करेगा भारत के लिए करेगा. दूसरा क्या है? रघुराम राजन thought that अमेरिका में there are different methods. In fact, I'm going completely different direction itself. But I thought, vertive वाले को इधर आके data center का बोलने से better ऐसा बोले. So, in America, if you give in America, there is a lot of coupons and all that things are happening. If you write COVID के time में, there are a lot of economics who came and told you that you also should do a lot of things. But our government did not do all this. Our government did what? पंडित बताओ क्या 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 हमारा सरकार ने कोविड के टाइम में जो अमेरिका में कर रहा था नहीं किया, क्या किया बताओ मुझे.
हमारे यहाँ ने पहले तो सोशल रिस्पांसिबिलिटी लेके we be aware all the people that we have some responsibility.
Stand up and say.
We first of all we aware our own people that we have some social responsibility, and with social responsibility we only will secure our life to the social responsibility only. You need to understand what is important, what is not important, and government. First of all, Prime Minister खुद आके एड्रेस किया कि इस तरीके से हमें इस कोविड सेंटर्स जो पहले बहुत ही बड़े-बड़े हॉस्पिटल लगेंगे ऐसा करना था, पर वॉलंटियर्स भी कोविड सेंटर में काम कर सकते हैं, वो फैसिलिटेट किया. अवेयरनेस कैसे बाद में घंटा वाला भी चीज अच्छा था, दीप जलाना वाला भी चीज टू मोटिवेट द पीपल.
Yeah, sit down. So, lot of people, world economics में गया इंडिया अभी, कोविड के बाद इंडिया गया, तो इतना ऐसा exponential rate में ये वायरस ये हो जाएगा, RT-PCR टेस्ट एंड ऑल दैट, इंडिया में 35 करोड़ पीपल मर जाएगा, ऐसा हुआ है क्या हमारे देश में? In terms of population of mortality rates as compared to population is very low, much lesser than in the United States. Numbers are all there. See, the point I'm trying to make is there is a particular way to run this country. What is there in the West need not be copied just like that, and that is not good for the rest of the world. There are good things, please let us see. There are things which will not work in this country. So Raghuram Rajan is actually Western influence because he was a Bharatiya person only, but citizenship of the US and all that. So he knows the model there. Udhar $10,000 de do, kuch nahi milne wala. Which country has a sum total of all their credit card debt? Which is the country? Highest credit card debt. Sum total of all the unpaid credit card called which guy? US guy. So they don't have the intention to pay back is not there. That is what it shows. हमारे देश में ऐसा नहीं है. How many of you take credit cards here and pay your bill on time? Credit card company से डूब जाएगा आप लोग for this. उनका धंधा ये नहीं है. उनका धंधा आपको नहीं पे करने का, मिनिमम पे करने का, फिर बाकी में वो कुछ 25% इंटरेस्ट कर देगा. That is their धंधा. क्रेडिट कंपनी में भाग जाएंगे. आप जैसे लोग इधर. They don't want you to pay. Have you seen their mails to you? They will not say make full payment. Pay minimum balance. उतना ही चाहिए. उतना ही चाहिए. They don't want you to pay. उसने 24 hours पहले जाके पे करेगा ना. सिटी बैंक में भाग जाएगा. जैसे बहुत सारे बाकी सिटी बैंक में क्रेडिट कार्ड देते हैं क्या? Only corporate कार्ड जाएगा. They don't have personal cards at all. इतना प्रॉफिटेबल नहीं है. अमेरिकन प्रॉफिटेबल क्यों? मिनिमम पे करेगा. मिनिमम भी नहीं पे करेगा. Then उसका चार्ज, सरचार्ज, डिस्चार्ज, दैट चार्ज करके. That's how this company is. So mentality different. Our mentality different. That is another 2-hour lecture which I got talk about. But what I want to say is that those things that were done in other countries, and we have followed our own way of economics. That is why our country is able to all this complexity. We are still growing at around 6 to 7% per annum. In the US, during COVID, so what did Raghuram Rajan do? He said, no, don't start this Mudra scheme and all that. Because he knows America, now that's how jayega paisa. So you're going to invest 1.5 lakh crore, put it in the economy by giving the street vendor and the fish market fellow, the coolie and all that. So paisa wapas nahi aayega. It's a big systemic risk for the government. But Professor Ranjini and other people actually gone to Daya. They work in place, not only her, there's a group of people in this country. So they are all sleeper cells who will not know what are they doing. This is all what they do. They gone around the country, talk to people, figured out. One is having money, other one is willingness to pay. पैसा होने से नहीं होगा ना. Willingness to pay on time has to be there. वो सब अपना देश में चलता है. So he said it is not honest. And the next, what is called as a non-performing asset, NPA of Mudra is so low today. In fact, it is one of the biggest successful schemes of the current government. Successful schemes. Because what are you trying to do? I told you the example, Neeta Ambani को 5,000 रुपए दिया, they have a farmer called Sakit को मैंने 5,000 रुपए दिया. The economic engine will roll when I give money to the last person. Money will roll. You can earn 80%. That is good. The sum total of all of the crime contributes to the GDP of the country. Okay? Okay, so either
What is not seen in the books?
very nice. Running of scheme for my account. Now you know the scheme. Everybody here knows scheme. Go and tell people around you to benefit from these schemes. Half of the problem in this country is because people don't even know scheme has happened. So tell the people, make them part of the overall economic engine. There are people who are taking benefit. ऐसा नहीं है. But what he has not seen many people taking the benefit.
Everyone may be knowing it and most of the people are benefit NPO.
Undue reaction, correct. अभी आप सभी लोग की वैसे
Things like this are actually
That's right. I agree with that. I agree with that.
There are many schemes.
Yeah, I agree with that. There are many people unaware of this.
How to get that?
Yeah. And these are not quite straightforward, simple. Otherwise, these people can't even go into a bank. So they've done multiple things actually. This is not done through the normal banking channels. They've used the next level banking channels. Like there are the AU Small Finance Bank and there are banks, बहुत सारे banks, छोटा मोटा banks, cooperative banks, Utkarsh Bank, ऐसा कुछ banks है. उससे तो करा है. But yes, so just imagine. This is the problem everywhere in large organizations and large countries. It's the problem everywhere in large organizations, large countries, etc., where many people are not aware of these things. So just imagine the multiplicative effect if large sum of people. Okay, so just imagine the multiplicative effect if a large group of people come to know that and benefit from it. It will have an exponential effect, right? So I do not know at this point of time the exact numbers to answer the amount of financial to this country. But at the same time, you can figure it out and just imagine what percentage of the people have already benefited from this. What is that segment of people who are not benefit from it? And if they also get the benefit, just imagine the overall impact on the growth engine. That is the point I am trying to make. That is the point I am trying to make. My point is not about the non-implemented scheme, etc. The scheme is successful. I have no doubt about the theory and the hypothesis of the scheme. Number 2. Number 3, yes, there is a large segment of people who, I know at least several people in this marketing power. मैं सब्जी खरीदने में जाता हूँ. मैं खुद जाता हूँ. आजकल भी आता है क्या? Zepto, Kipto वगैरह आता है. मैं कभी वाइफ को मत करो, मैं खुद जाता हूँ. Just to do economics. Just to understand what is the price of aloo, how does it come from, supply crisis क्या है, कहाँ से आता है. नारियल पानी, for example, you know the price fluctuates. It goes, अभी 75, 80 तक हुआ है. Then during summer it will again go to 100 हो जाएगा ऐसा. Then it will come down. So there is economics behind all of that. Where does it come from? What is the ratio of a load? How much does it get? खराब ही होता है ना. All of that is economics, right? So you don't have to read a big economics textbook to understand. Go and talk to the fellow on the street. He will tell you many things. Then you can connect with economic things. That there are many people who have taken advantage of these schemes when they are investing in their business. Now, can that number be larger? 100% larger. If more people come to know that, more better for them. And then when more people come, when more people join, there will be more such kind of NPAs and all that. But still, it will be lower compared to giving money to your friends like Vital Malia, Vijay Malia. Vital Malia is a big friend. Inka beta. Vijay Malia, Siddhartha, Malia and all. Okay, now we come back to AI again. So, this is what is driving all this change. Okay, so what is driving this change is, what are these alpha, GPT-3, GPT-4, Llama, Grok? What are these things called? Models. These are large language models. What does this large language model do? पता क्या है large language model? Large language model का what is it? What is LLM? My question.
Data capture.
Basically, yes. Large language models are trained with the multiple data. So, whenever, how many of you start GPT here? A lot of people start. You ask a question, this answer, right? This answer the way you have trained. And these are all trained models. So, that large language model is the complete engine from where it is getting all the information. And there are multiple large language models available. So GPT-3, GPT-4, Gemini Ultra, Llama 3, Grok 4 Ultra. These are all the known names of large language. And there are several other large language models. The earlier versions of this as well as these versions. And this graph here, it shows 2015 to 2025. And on the left side is 1, 1000, 1 million, 1 billion, 1 trillion. This line is a linear line. What scale is this? It's high school physics, mathematics. It is a logarithmic scale. Why is it a logarithmic scale? Otherwise, this will look exponential. So, in order for you to get that mental feeling that it is done on a logarithmic scale, so that it looks a linear line. Otherwise, it's an exponential. And then all छोटा दिखेगा, then suddenly become ऐसा दिखेगा, instead of that. So, it is kind of, this is the kind of growth in terms of the parameters. So, a large language model is trained with parameters. More the number of parameters. What is a large language model's ambition? It should be as good as the human brain. It's supposed to be at this point the best, right? It surpass that also. But right now, to get to the human brain kind of thinking, to get the human brain thinking, you have to get more parameters into the large language model. And as it gets trained, what we are seeing is the number of parameters are doubling every 5 months. So in 12 months, what will happen? Number of parameters have quadrupled. 5 महीने 6 महीने डबल 6 महीने डबल हो जाएगा 12 महीने में 4 बार होगा 4 गुना 4 times. That is the rate at which these large language models are getting trained to give you a better user experience. So this is something. And who is doing all this? Where is it all being done? In data centers. All these racks that we supply with all the GPUs and all that is supplied by the big players, the NVIDIA and GPUs and all that. They are working on this. And at what rate is NVIDIA releasing GPUs? Almost every year. Every year NVIDIA releases the next version of the GPU. So they have GB200, they have GB300, then they have Vera Rubin, then they have Oberon, they have Kyber, and they have different rates of different platforms and different chips. And each one is efficient than the earlier one, but it is more power savvy. But for the same amount of work, as compared to the earlier GP, it takes 1/10 of the earlier energy. But the fastness, the speed, and the number of parameters, it can handle is much more. So this is on one side, completely helping us in the growth of data. The AI models, their proliferation, and the number of parameters on its brain. And the other side is electricity consumed per AI model. It is doubling every 1 point. Every 1.4 years, electricity consumed by these models put together, the requirement is becoming 1.4 times. Just in 1.4 times the electricity required is double. So these are the things that is driving this growth rate. And it is in front of us. Does anybody have any doubt on this chart? All doubt? Manne ko duvida hai to pucho na. Clear? You want to add on anything to that? All of you guys remain over this.
It is only for AI computing. So
तो मेरा चार्ट में earlier देखो, very good point. earlier चार्ट में देखो, ये जो ऑरेंज जो दिख रहे हैं वो AI वर्कलोड. ऑरेंज जो दिख रहे हैं वो AI वर्कलोड है, and जो ग्रे जो दिख रहे हैं नॉन AI. So put together, you are seeing the 3.5x change in 6 years.
So most of the data center growth you are talking about, expansion in India, happening in AI segment or non-AI?
Very nice. I'll come. AI में हो रहा है कि non-AI? AI is also pulling the non-AI.
So people come saying the data center set up in India.
Question once again, please.
The growth you are talking about, like they are moving to that's it. AI segment, non-AI. Data center,
अभी जो दिख रहे हैं, it is clearly AI. अभी जो last at least 6 months, whatever orders I am seeing personally, AWS है, CFI है, Control S है, they are all investing in AI. But incidentally, I also came to know that it is not for training of model. It is for the inferential code. Who can explain here what is training load and inferential load of an AI data center? Rajkumar, batao. You would have read it about it. If you know, you can explain. So, AI model, any what is AI?
One is the constant load, like every time this particular server, this service will happen. So,
What is training? What is inferential? Bharti, batao.
Like sometimes AI computing happens with the help of GPU, but sometimes the CPU is also used.
Training is you are giving the inputs or training to the AI service. Inferential is you are executing the what is already trained.
समझ गया ना? एक कुत्ता अगर रास्ता में घूम रहे तो हमारा ब्रेन क्या बोलेगा? कुत्ता है। देखा किस साइड देखा कुछ साइड हम इमेजिन कर पाएंगे नहीं कर पाएंगे? कर पाएंगे, करेक्ट? That is there now as human being. What I was told is that an AI model is I think 5 or 10 megawatts of electricity. Just to imagine, if you tell an AI model to imagine the other side of a cat. Human brain can do it in a flick of a second using very 2.5 amps of power. Very efficiently. The AI model has been trained. So you look at all its parameters and then tell the other side of the cat, which we can do in a flick of a second. So first we need to train the model. You need to train the model. That is called training loop. Use the GPUs and then they will train the model with more the number of parameters, the more it will get better in terms of then synthesizing information. Here we need to synthesize. So दिख रहे हैं perfect. Other side बोलने के लिए बोलो, it is to synthesize information, which our brain is able to do, right? So that is what AI models are trying to do. So that is called training the model. How many of you used GPT-2? I think it was launched in 2022. So you would see how better Chat GPT gets. What does GPT का full form क्या है? Pre-trained transformer. Pre-trained transformer. So people who use GPT regularly will understand how fast it is. ये सब भारती को जैसे ठीक है मैंने भेजा काके भेजा. So training models are about training the model to give you the inference is about taking out information from that. So just train करके फायदा नहीं ना. So all the loads in India are inferential loads what I asked. AI के लिए ही है, but not the training load, but inferential load. So training requires more power, but inferential requires lesser cooling. But what are we seeing in India right now? We are seeing a lot of AI-driven workload का ही investment है. वो भी हमको order मिला है. All these big orders we are getting right now, 25 megawatt. Reliance is becoming AI factory बना है. 780 crores of investment just for work, and then for Schneider and all that. Imagine, sir, it's like a billions of investment. In Reliance, I think they're going to invest how much in AI data centers? Somewhere on the chart it is there. This is what it covers. Reliance has announced $110 billion of investment for their Geo platform in inferential and training. $100 billion by Adani, $50 billion by Microsoft, Google $15 billion, Yotta $2 billion. Big players का ही बात किया. And from whatever I know, these are all अभी जो भारत में सेटअप कर रहे हैं AI workload ही है, but inferential workload. Training का next step. Does that answer your question at least partially, Rajkumar?
Traditional way, if you think about the data center, it was about storing the user data. Most before AI gets. That time, there was a fixed concept. Like, to set up the data center storage.
Perfect.
But there was a lot of resistance.
Correct.
That was were trying to whether those data centers which are being set up, those data centers, the government was trying to relocate locally, policemen, different type of data centers connected to AI.
Very nice. It is a mix of both. It's a mix of both. Okay, so what we are creating is what is called a sovereign data center concept. Data sovereignty, right? We don't want, when you swipe a MasterCard, you swipe a MasterCard, buy something for 100 rupees. अमेरिका में बैठा हुआ वीसा या मास्टर कार्ड का सर्वर को पता चलता है, करेक्ट? So government came up with UPI and RuPay cards and told these fellows, don't, our country's information need not go up. You have your own data. You don't process it. Why should it go to some place, say to the US, the data center there? Our country's transaction data need not have. And why is it important? It is important because today, if you look at it, the right data is what is the most important power, source of power. आयतुल्लाह का मना है भाई, कौन सी घर में, कौन सी जगह में, कौन सी कुर्सी में बैठा, सीधा कदम करके आएगा। Imagine power of data. Exactly, and you have only one chance to hit the highest supreme leader of the land. So you like him or not, to different discussion.
God was used to kill human. God was used to kill Claude. Claude is the new AI.
Okay.
So they use Claude to kill Humani to look at
traffic cameras with
So just imagine, that's the power of data. So we don't want our country's data to go abroad. So there is a government pressure, what is called sovereign data centers. So a lot of banks are setting up data centers for their own on-prem as well as colo, cloud and all that. Plus I'm talking about the investments in which working में अभी आजकल तो जो orders आ रहे हैं, these are all not because of the government norms. These are investments that these people are doing because they also can't have all the data centers in the US, right? They also can't have all the data centers in the US, right? So they will also have to geographically spread. Spread कहाँ करेगा? इधर करेगा क्या? इधर करेगा क्या? यूरोप में भी कर सकते हैं। बाकी दुबई सऊदी में करेगा तो उड़ जाएगा। So mix of reasons. I'll come to the reason. Why is the data center industry growing this country?
These sites were surrounded by water, and data centers need use water. That's why we are our preferred partners and
we have certain clear advantages.
Right.
So there is something called that. There is something called diamond model of competing nations. Diamond model of competing nations. It is done by a researcher named Michael Porter. Okay, can somebody just Google and tell me what are those? I don't know. Factor and demand countries. My PhD was there. That's why I don't know. Exactly. So, a nation needs to have certain advantages to be competing with the global area. अच्छा पानी है, अच्छा पावर है, that alone is not enough.
cheap labor.
Cheap
labor. Cheap labor.
Affordable labor बोला.
Yeah.
But not enough. Affordable labor and competence भी चाहिए ना. Labor तो आपको अफ्रीका में नहीं मिलेगा. So what are those portals not पता है? Factor conditions, demand conditions. And government को change होगा ना. So डायमंड मॉडल में चार चीज चाहिए एक नेशन को इंटरनेशनल प्लेयर होना चाहिए